What if the secret to transforming your entire walk with God is not found in more words, but in more discipline? Not in louder prayers, but in deeper habits. Not in chasing blessings, but in building the kind of life that attracts heaven's presence. The truth is, prayer without discipline is like a fire without oxygen. It flickers, it smokes, but it never truly burns. And this is why so many believers wonder why their prayers feel weak, empty, or unanswered. Because while they pray with sincerity, they have neglected the very practices that fuel prayer into power. The first discipline is silence and solitude, a spiritual weapon that most people secretly fear, because it strips you of distractions and forces you to face the reality of God's presence and your own heart. Jesus withdrew to lonely places to pray, Luke 5:16, and if he needed silence, how much more do you? Solitude kills the noise of the world and lets you hear the whisper of the Spirit. The second discipline is fasting, not as a diet plan, but as a declaration that your spirit is hungrier than your stomach. Isaiah 58 reveals that true fasting breaks chains, looses yokes, and sets the oppressed free. When you fast, your prayer life gains authority because you are telling the flesh it is no longer in control. The third discipline is scripture meditation, not reading quickly like checking a box, but lingering over a verse until it burns into your soul. Joshua 1:8 commands you to meditate day and night, for meditation plants the word deep. And when you pray, your prayers are not weak opinions, but declarations rooted in God's promises. The fourth discipline is confession, not in the sense of empty ritual, but the raw honesty that keeps your heart clean before God. Psalm 66:18 warns that if you cherish sin in your heart, the Lord will not hear you. Many wonder why heaven feels silent, but the shocking truth is that hidden sin, bitterness, or unforgiveness secretly blocks their prayers. The fifth discipline is worship, because prayer without worship becomes self-centered demands, but worship lifts your focus from what you lack to who God is. Paul and Silas prayed and sang hymns in prison, Acts 16:25, and the chains literally broke. Worship shifts atmospheres and teaches you to see God's throne above your storm. The sixth discipline is service, because prayer is never just about you. It is about becoming an instrument of God's will on earth. Jesus said the greatest is the one who serves, Matthew 23:11. And when your life is poured out in service, your prayers carry weight because your actions match your petitions. The seventh discipline is perseverance, the holy stubbornness that refuses to let go even when heaven feels silent. Luke 18 describes the widow who kept knocking until the judge answered. And Jesus said, if even an unjust judge responds to persistence, how much more your Father? This is the hidden warning. Many prayers fail not because God said no, but because you gave up too, and soon. The eighth discipline is gratitude, a shocking yet powerful force that turns every prayer into worship. Philippians 4:6 tells you to present your requests with thanksgiving, and thanksgiving is the seal that says you trust God before you see the answer. Gratitude multiplies faith, and faith moves mountains. When you weave these disciplines together, your prayer life stops being random words and becomes a furnace of fire, a secret place where heaven and earth collide, where requests are not shouted into empty space, but carried by the Spirit into the throne room of God. These 8 disciplines are not optional extras. They are the foundation that transforms prayer from ritual to relationship, from weak whispers to kingdom-shaking decrees. You cannot expect intimacy with God while refusing silence, authority without fasting, clarity without meditation, forgiveness without confession, breakthrough without worship, impact without service, answers without perseverance, or joy without gratitude. The hidden truth is this: prayer does not change because you pray more. It changes because you live differently. So the question is not whether you pray, but whether you will choose the disciplines that make your prayers unstoppable. Will you keep drifting with shallow words, or will you embrace the path that saints, prophets, and Christ himself walked? The path of discipline that births power. Because the God who hears in secret will reward openly, and the life that practices these disciplines will never be the same.